Iska, the youngest saint disciple of the Heavenly Empire, helps a witch escape from captivity for unknown reasons, only to be imprisoned himself for the act. 1 year later, Octet grants him his release and his astral swords, on the condition that he hunts down a purebred witch. After reuniting with his comrades, Jin, Nene, and Miss from the 907th unit, the four of them head to a disputed territory where the Empire is defending a power plant from the astral mages of the Nebulous Sovereignty. Iska and his unit soon find themselves battling several mages and manage to subdue them non-lethally. However, the purebred Ice Calamity witch, Alicilius Lunebulus IX, takes the field herself and shatters the Empire's power plant with her magic. Alice and Iska end up fighting to a draw, with both expressing their wish to end the ongoing war before Alice retreats. Later, Alice attends an opera with her maid Rin, when she is handed a handkerchief by a man who turns out to be Iska. Iska gets a ticket to an opera in the neutral city-state of Ain, and accidentally gets a seat next to Alice. Alice and Rin head to a nearby restaurant only to find themselves seated at Iska's table, where Alice and Iska order the exact same dish. Later that evening, Alice's mother, Queen Nebulous, mentions that the seal on the Nebulous founder is weakening and hints that it might be linked to the swordsman Alice fought before. Alice and Iska have trouble sleeping in their respective beds. The next day, Iska and Alice accidentally meet up again, in Ain, as they tour an art exhibit at the same time. Afterwards, Iska falls asleep on Alice's shoulder, quietly embarrassing her. Meanwhile, the Octet agreed to reinstate Iska as Saint Disciple if he captures the Ice Calamity Witch. Iska arrives in the 907th unit's office when Rizia tells him the Octet wants to see him. There he's informed that they want him to approach the Ice Calamity Witch. When he returns to his room, Iska asks Miss if he can go to the neutral city. She agrees on the condition that she comes with him. Meanwhile, at the palace, Rin gives Alice a dossier on Iska. After having a conversation with her mother, Alice tells Rin that she wants them to head to the neutral city. The next day, Iska, Miss, Alice, and Rin meet up in the neutral city. After Iska reveals why he rescued the witch the year prior, Alice asks Iska to defect from the Empire. Before he can give an answer, they're attacked by the now free founder, Nebulous. During the battle, Rin is injured. Once Miss takes Rin to the hospital, Iska and Alice team up in order to defeat the founder Nebulous. Afterwards, Iska turns down Alice's request. They then agreed to a temporary truce for the rest of the day. In the city of Jurak, the 907th unit are playing the slot machines in a casino. Meanwhile, Alice and Rin arrive at the casino. When Alice hits the jackpot, she shares her winnings with Nene. Once everyone leaves, Alice and Iska head to their fortune teller, where they receive the same fortune. Sometime later, Rizia informs the 907th unit about a vortex at the Mutal Valley. At the palace, Rin tells Alice that the Empire troops have been deployed towards Mutal Valley. She also reveals that the Zoa family have been delaying their report to her mother. They later confront Lord Mask, who reveals that the report was delayed. At the Mutal Valley, the troops meet one of the members of the Saint Disciples, named Nameless. During their search for the vortex, the 907 unit is informed that one of the units has gone missing. When they head back to base, Nameless decides against deploying a rescue squad. When Iska tries to speak to Nameless, Miss does so in his place. Later that night, Alice decides to head to the Mutal Valley herself. Meanwhile, Lord Mask approaches kissing Zoa Nebulous IX. When Alice and Rin arrive at the vortex, Lord Mask shows up with kissing. Lord Mask explains that he wants to have an all-out war with the Empire. Meanwhile, the 907th unit is monitoring the Mutal Valley when they notice an astral light. Heading towards the area of light, they encounter Shanarot Gregory's unit, who reveal they are actually astral mages. Nameless suddenly arrives and he takes out Shanarot's squad, though she manages to escape with Miss. When Shanarot brings Miss to the vortex, Alice decides to use the opportunity to head to the Imperial Army's base. Sometime later, Iska arrives at the vortex to rescue Miss. Just then, Kissing demonstrates her power. At the base, Alice takes on Nameless. Back at the vortex, Iska and Kissing both fight each other, with Iska emerging as the victor. Afterwards, Lord Mask kicks Miss into the vortex. When Iska jumps in to rescue her, Alice follows them. Thanks to Alice's help, the three are able to survive. While Alice is reminiscing about her previous encounter with Iska, she is approached by Rin, who suggests that they head to the neutral city. Meanwhile, the 907th unit are in their office when Miss complains about her shoulder. They are then given a mission by Rizia to infiltrate the Nebulous Sovereignty. Sometime later, Alice and Rin look for Iska in the neutral city. Back in the 907th unit office, everyone discovers that Miss is now an astral mage. Despite this, Iska, Jin, and Nene decide to remain loyal to her. The next day, Iska and Miss are enjoying themselves in the neutral city. When they split up, he is eventually approached by Alice. After a while, Rin shows up and she gives them some juice. Once Asuka passes out, Rin reveals that she spiked his juice with a sleep-inducing drug. She then admits that she did not expect him to actually drink it. As they were taking Asuka away, Miss returns and she tries to stop them. However, Alice freezes her foot. Later, Rizia reports to Emperor Yunmelgen that Asuka has been captured. After convincing from Alice, Rin decides to take Asuka to Alcatraz. Meanwhile, Rizia reports to the Octet about the situation. She then brings up that Salinger, the Transcendent, is being held there as well. Afterward, she heads to the 907th Unit's office, where she uses a gadget so Nene, Miss and Jin can go undercover as astral mages. In Alcatraz, Asuka wakes up earlier than expected, while the rest of the 907th Unit successfully cross the border. At the hotel, Rin volunteers to watch Asuka. The 909th Unit, meanwhile, meet up with Rizia. Back at the hotel, once Alice leaves the room, Rin attempts to kill Asuka. However, she is stopped when Alice returns. At the Oligan prison tower, Jin realizes that the Empire has an ulterior motive for the mission. Later, Rizia introduces herself to Salinger. Rizia explains to Salinger that she is going to help him escape. Meanwhile, at the hotel, Rin reports to Alice that someone has infiltrated the Sovereignty. At Ole Lugan, Miss, Jin, and Nene are surrounded by guards when they hear an explosion. They then receive a call from Rizia, who lies about the situation. Rin later relays to Alice that Salinger has escaped from Ole Lugan, and they leave Asuka behind. Back at Ole Lugan, Miss acts as bait, which allows Jin and Nene to take out the guards. When they finally get in contact with Asuka, it appears that he is stuck in the hotel until he realizes Alice secretly left behind a key so he can escape. He then heads to Ole Lugan as well. Once Rin finds Salinger, she challenges him to a fight and ends up getting overwhelmed. Just as Salinger is about to kill Ren, Asuka saves her. During the battle with Salinger, Asuka has Rin promise that if he defeats Salinger, she will not stop him and his friends until they cross the border. Meanwhile, at the palace, Schwartz reports the situation at Ole Lugan to Sisbel Lu Nebulus IX. Back at Ole Lugan, Rin aids Asuka while Alice is briefly confronted by Nameless. Alice then shows up at Asuka and Rin's location, which allows Asuka to turn the tides on Salinger. As such, Salinger decides to flee. The next morning, Rin reports to Alice that the prisoners have been accounted for and the Imperial soldiers have been returned. In the Empire, it is revealed that Rizia was the one who actually confronted Alice, as the real Nameless reports that central province of the Sovereignty has been infiltrated. The 907th Unit, meanwhile, head home together. At the palace, Alice and Rin are having a conversation about Asuka when it is revealed that Sisbel is spying on them. She soon realizes that Asuka is the same Imperial soldier who rescued her. Rizia meets up with Emperor Yunmelgen, where she gives her report to him. At the palace, the queen orders Sisbel to head to Axmaria, an independent nation, to investigate if they have sided with the Empire. Meanwhile, the 907th Unit catch a break when Michaela, a member of the medical coordination team, puts them on a forced leave of 60 days due to being overworked. Later, Eltir Lo Nebulus IX, Alice, and Sisbel's older sister has a conversation with Lord Mask. When the 907th Unit arrive in Axmaria, they spend the day having fun. After they separate, Sisbel runs into Asuka, and she decides to follow him. Back at the palace, the Queen, Alice, and Rin go inside Sisbel's room. There, Alice and Rin discover that Sisbel knows about Asuka, while Sisbel asks Asuka to come with her to the Sovereignty. Sisbel thanks Asuka for saving her the year prior. When he wonders why she wants him to accompany her to the Sovereignty, she becomes emotional. As they part ways, Sisbel vows that she will not give up. Meanwhile, at the palace, Rin convinces the Queen to allow Alice to travel to Axmaria so she can talk to Sisbel alone. At the Empire, the Octet decide to deploy the object against Sisbel. The next day, Asuka is too preoccupied thinking about the conversation he had with Sisbel. Eltir, meanwhile, tells Lord Mask that she believes her sisters may betray the Sovereignty. As such, Lord Mask agrees to look into the matter. While Alice is traveling to Axmaria, she notices giant tracks that head in the same direction. Later, Asuka leaves his friends to meet up with Sisbel. After she reveals the reason why she wants his help, they're confronted by Lord Mask. When Sisbel attempts to flee, she is targeted by the object. While Asuka and Nene fight the object, Lord Mask tries to intervene, but he gets stopped by Jin. Jin and Miss distract Lord Mask but end up getting cornered. Jin manages to shoot at Lord Mask, but he hits the recorder which contained the proof of Sisbel communicating with Asuka. Lord Mask then tries to burn them using gasoline, but Miss uses her astral powers to extinguish the flames as Jin takes a shot at Lord Mask, which causes him to retreat. Meanwhile, Nene attempts to attack the object, but it shields itself. Nene then retreats with the rest of the team to evacuate the citizens, while Asuka and Sisbel fight the object. During the battle, an astral spirit comes out and traps Cispel inside. Alice suddenly arrives, leading to her and Iska once again teaming up. After the fight, Cispel asks if Alice and Iska are acquainted, which they deny. Cispel then says that she wants Iska to be her knight. However, Iska manages to get out of the situation when his friends call for him. And that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this, so I'll see you at the next one.